Well, that didn't go like we thought it would, did it? Man, week two, let's cover it, man. So, this is post game reaction to the Houston Texans week two loss against the Indianapolis Colts at home. Man, 31-20, man. Of course, I had the pregame prediction that the Texans would win 17-10. Didn't quite work out like that. So, let's just get right into it, man. Texans, man, they're suffering, man. That O line is in bad shape. A lot of injuries. Obviously, that's still going to be the case. Had another injury today with one of the backup linemen that he was out for a couple plays, came on back in. But long story short, man, Anthony Richardson came down on the first couple of drives. He scored on a couple running drives. On a couple run plays. And so they had a 14-0 advantage early on. Man, we played catch up from that point forward, man, and we couldn't really do much of anything at all. The thing that was really the most surprising thing to see was that the defense had been, from all intents and purposes, the defense had been the strong point of the Houston Texans and what we had to bring to the table. And the defense, man, they just looked like trash today. Just to be honest with you, Will Anderson didn't get to have the opportunity to get a whole lot of impact in the game. It's a lot of, I might have singled out Will Anderson, but there was a lot of guys that didn't get to make much impact in the game. Couldn't stop the run. They dink and ducked us all day. Looked a lot like the Colorado defense, to be honest with you, man, where we were on our heels for most of the game, and the wide receiver play for the Colts was, tremendous. So once Anthony Richardson went out, he had a head injury after his second touchdown. We suppose after his second touchdown that he gave him a concussion. Once he went down, man, they brought in Gardner Minshew, and he just picked up with the game plan and just kept right on going, man, running down the field on us, man. So we looked up, man, and it was not pretty, man. It was just watching like a slow bleed, man, and there was nothing you could do about it. We did notice that late in the game, when they kind of changed up the game plan a little bit to go with the quick plays, then all of a sudden we start having some progress with the game plan getting it up the field. But I only noticed that to be the case when it was the Colts were playing more of a type of prevent defense as opposed to what they've been playing throughout the majority of the game. But C.J. Anderson was under pressure, man. He got sacked about 6 times today. He threw for 384 yards, but a lot of that was in garbage time or late in the game where, the completions and stuff, as long as they stayed in front of them, they didn't really matter as much or whatever. Tank Dell did get a lot of action today. Of course, he was one of the guys that I was predicting would get some good run today. Tank Dell had, Tank Dell had 7 for 72 and a touchdown, so he got his first touchdown of the season. The real star of the show for the Texans offense was Nico Collins, man. Nico Collins did his thing. He had 7 catches for 146 yards and a touchdown. He was all over the field, and I think that's really gonna show. It really showed what we've been seeing all preseason, man. What we've been seeing all offseason, and then what I expect to see for the rest of the year. That Nico Collins is going to be in stature the number one, the W1, the wide receiver one, and so he's going to be that person. Robert Woods is going to be the wide receiver 2. Tank Dell, for me, I think I've called him the wide receiver 1 before. He's more or less the wide receiver weapon number 1, if you will. And what I mean by that is, you get him in space, you get him the ball in space or in motion, you lead him on a pass or something like that, and let him just work with the play that's out there. And I think if they figure out the game plan where they can finally start doing that, it'll be where the Texans can be in a position where they can expose the defense that way. So we got a little hint of that, a little bit more of a hint of that today, thankfully. But where that goes for us moving forward for next week, man. I'm just be honest with you. Based off of what I saw today, man, it's not looking great as far as prospects for next week when we play the Jaguars. I saw the Jaguars game a little bit towards the end. The Jaguars were tossing that rock around. They missed more opportunities to score and blow that game away than what Kansas City deserved. And so I think that when they play us, to be honest with you, with the number of injuries that we have, both in the secondary, the whole line. I mean, with everything that we have, I think that they're gonna tear us up pretty bad, man. And I know I'm kind of getting down the line into predictions for next week, but I mean, I just saw what I saw, and I'm sure you guys saw what you saw on the field too, and it was not a good look. I mean, I didn't see any swarm. You know, we've been talking about swarm this whole off season. I didn't see guys really swarming to the ball. I know we got a lot of guys that are injured. Again, the whole defensive back, the whole safety crew was gone. But it wasn't like we could prevent anything. It wasn't like, these guys were, gashing us with a lot of deep passes and stuff. That wasn't the case. It was just dink and dunk, just slicing us up with like 1,000 cuts, man, and just letting us bleed to death. So that kind of sucked. I gotta say this, man. Dalton Schultz, I think he's in his 5th or 6th year in the league, and to this point, I have not seen the Dalton Schultz that I saw that played for Dallas. He was a good outlet for Dak. Maybe I'm overselling it, or in my mind, I'm overselling it to myself that, he was this dude that was kind of like, I can't say Gronk is, because Gronk is on a whole nother level. Travis Kelce is on a whole nother level. I won't go into those type of spectrums with it, but, he was the consummate outlet for Dak to get up and down the field when he needed a 5-yard route or whatever. Man, Dalton is playing like trash, man. I mean, he had a couple catches today. I think he had, let's see, I just want to be accurate. He had 4 catches for 34 yards, man. But he probably had a few more targets than that. And, he's been dropping the ball, man, all year. I can't explain it, man, because he's had more than a few times where he's been hitting the hands on a route. Generally on a route where he's going out of bounds or he's crossing the face of the ball of the face of the quarterback. And the ball would hit him in the hands, and he's turning his head up the field to go do whatever he's planning on doing next. But you got to secure that ball, man. That's the first thing that you got to do. You got to secure that rock, man. So I don't know what's going on with his hands or through his head or whatever, but he's definitely not playing the same way that I thought I expected him to play. And so that's a little bit, telling. Of course, I want to say this too, man. The game plan and the game structure on how they're calling these plays, I don't know. I really want Bobby Slowick. I really want D'Amico in this too. But whoever is in charge of that offense, I really want them to go back and look at the plays in real detail. There were so many plays that I had issue with, and I'm not a professional. I'm just an amateur fan who loves football, wanted to play football, couldn't play football for some several reasons or whatever. I know there's a lot of knuckleheads out there that'd be like, oh, well, what the hell do you know? Whatever. I don't care nothing about that. I've watched enough football to know what I'm seeing on the field, man, and I can even see plays and break them down and to diagnose what's going to happen. I can see it happen before it happens. I can see what will work and what won't work. And like, there's certain things like, okay, give you a setup. There's a strong package that they had Robert Woods out to the right, tight to the line. They had the tight end out there to the right, and then they had Tank Dell out to the right. So you have some of your smallest guys out here on the end of the line on a short field. You had Nico Collins out on the other side out wide. And then you ran the ball to the side, you stretch ran to the side. You got Tank Dell trying to hold down the end. Like, he's 160 pounds. It's not a good look, man. I mean, who's he going to really block? You put him at danger of getting injured. We already had at the beginning of the game on his first punt return, guy sideswiped his knee, man, and he looked like he was getting ready to be out of the game, man. So, you got to be mindful of this type of stuff, man. You can't put these guys in positions where they're going to get hurt because you're already down so many players, man. And I know that you want to run this play to keep the other team honest. I know that you want to try to, give them a certain look or whatever. But then you was doing stuff like, on a second, I think it was a goal. It might have been like 2nd and goal from the 2-yard line, and you do an inside handoff to the fullback. You know, like you already have a line that is exposed to the inside rush. They're not stopping anybody. You know, if it's a blitz package, you know, CJ's not picking up that he's got to hit a hot read. The wide receivers aren't looking for a hot read. They're not looking to try to give him that outlet immediately. They're not seeing the same thing out of eye. So I don't know what's going on in the concept and in the planning of the game plan or in the flow of the operation, one way or the other, that these guys aren't seeing the same thing that we as fans, as amateurs, we're seeing this, man. I mean, we're not getting paid, but you know, we're still seeing the same thing on the field that everybody else is seeing, and it's just like, what's going on, man? Like, I know that these are first time head coaches. I know that this is a first time OC. I just, you know, we believe in these guys, of course. We throw our support behind these guys, but this is stuff that has got to get cleaned up because other teams are seeing this same stuff, and now it's on tape, man. Like, this stuff matters. This is what would essentially be the fifth game of live action that things are recordable, and you can see the same thing personnel-wise that everybody else can see. And so if we don't start picking up on those habits and we don't start picking up on what works from what doesn't work, I mean, you can see when CJ is given the time, he can operate in a nice pocket, nice clean pocket. He can get that ball down the field. You can see that when the holes are open properly, you can see that, you know, DP can run through the hole and get, you know, monstrous yards because he's running aggressively. But you're not piecing all of those pieces of the puzzle together at the right time so that these guys can make this game plan flow. And you can get, you know, first down, second down, third down executed in a nice consistent pattern and then get on down the field. I mean, it's happening in a 2-minute offense because you're dinking and ducking and the defense is playing back to try to eliminate, you know, you getting a deep pass down the field, which is smart. But you got to force the issue, man. You can't have. I mean, I did see some nice concepts. I saw where some of the rock concepts, they would have Tank Dell push the defense with his speed. He'd push them to you know, pop the top off a little bit, and then that opened up the stuff underneath for the other guys. Great concept. I remember, again, I keep going back to Gary Kubiak because this is one of the things that kind of helped me develop my understanding of the offense and game planning. I remember Gary Kubiak working levels, and this is part of the everyday game plan for all offenses across the board, but I'm just saying this is where I kind of really, it clicked for me. But I remember Gary Kubiak having plays where everything was run on levels. So you had your protection, you had your extra man back to protect if you needed to. You had the O lineman running a certain scheme so that they could get extra cut blocks or whatever if they needed to, so they can give a little extra time to, you know, give the defensive lineman a second to think about what they were going to do on their attack or what their game plan was when they came to attack the quarterback or the rush. And then you had the tight end cutting across on the first level. You had a wide receiver coming right behind him on the third level. And you had another guy going way down deep to open up the top. So it made everybody have to kind of spread their routes. So if you needed to sit down in a zone, you could have a guy stop and sit down in his spot. Boom, he's available. If you needed to have a guy cross across and go deep to the other side so you can get that stretch open and make this little soft spot right there as the guys coming across the middle. Like, everything was laid out and it was masterful, man. It was just perfect. And as long as we had Gary Kubiak, as long as he was just the offensive coordinator and not trying to be the head coach or do head coach duties for the game plan operation, we were operating like, you know, gangbusters, man. We had that for a little while with Bill O'Brien, that clown. We had it for a little while with him, but it seems like that's completely fallen off the table, man, ever since then. And I don't understand how difficult it is, and maybe that's just something for me to get as a fan. I don't understand how difficult it is for these guys to put that game plan into order and make it happen when these guys, this is literally all that they do. This is literally all that they've dealt with. I'm not a professional at doing this stuff. I'm just an amateur, play one on TV or whatever, play a professional on TV or whatever. But I'm saying, like, these guys scheme concepts for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is what they do. So you should have these schemes down pat. And maybe this is part of what happens when you have an O-line that is so, you know, thoroughly beat up, and you have a rookie quarterback that may not understand how all of this flows together. Maybe it just hasn't clicked in that certain type of way. I am praying with all my heart as a fan that when week 5 comes and we start getting some of these guys back off of IR, that they put in enough time and practice and study that they can know what they need to do. And I'm praying for health, to be honest with you, that they're healthy enough that they can be in those positions and get this thing turned around. I literally at this point have no expectation for the Texans to win any games before week 5. Just saying, I haven't seen anything that they put together consistently that's going to render us to get. I mean, we got 20 points today, but to be honest with you, we probably don't deserve to get about 10 of those. You know, we just let me breathe. Shout out to the fans that was up there, man, fighting and acting a fool, man. Y'all was tripping. It's only week 2, man. What y'all gonna do when it gets a little late in the season, man? I don't think that they was fighting over the fact that the team was losing, but the frustration of it all definitely didn't help. But you know, this is one of the reasons why I don't go to a whole lot of the games, man, because I might be one of those dudes get wrapped up in the sauce or be sitting on the sideline, you know, sipping my little whatever, enjoying the fight, because I gotta enjoy something, right? Too funny, man. Too funny. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it for me, man. I have enjoyed this weekend being able to watch football. I was cheering my butt off last night for the Colorado team, and yes, I am a Colorado bandwagoneer. I'm down with Coach Prime. Sorry to say that for folks that hate, but whatever, you just gonna have to deal with it. But yeah, I was watching that game till like 1:30 in the morning, man. So you know, I got a little nap in, got ready for today's game. I got a little nap in again after the game was over with. And I'm just pumped that we have football again, man. It's just great to be out here and enjoy the game and festivities and all of the stuff that comes with it, man. I will be out watching the games in various spots around the city, trying to enjoy the fandom and soak in the crowd and everything like that. And shout out to my friend that got me the background here, man. Of course, I'm trying to change some things up, but you'll see the old background still. But trying to change some things up and improve over time. So shout out to everybody that's watching and listening. I'm on YouTube. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. TikTok, we're approaching 500 subscribers. So shout out to everybody that's been supporting over there. And then on YouTube, man, we're slowly creeping up, man. We're trying to get to 200. It's been a little slower to 200 than it was to 100. But, you know, hopefully by the end of the season, I can hit my goal of 1,000. I know that seems like a small goal to some, but it's a big goal to me, man. I appreciate everybody that comes out and comes watching. And so look forward to more information from me, man. Recap is coming up on Wednesday. And hey, that's it, man. Texas Fan of Rehab, I'm out.